Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Thunder Road Vendetta. This is the unboxing for all the different expansions. This is part 3. If you watched part 1, we went over just quickly glanced at all the components. We went over how the base game was playing the base game components. And I did say that I was only going to do 2 videos. I lied. We're doing a third one. In part 2, we went over the main expansions, which were the Big Rig in Final 5, and Carnage at Devil's Run, and the Chop Shop, which added some new vehicles to play as, some new terrain and hazards, and some new character cards and some extra cards to do. So in this one, we're going to go over the last bit of stuff, which is the extra ammo and German engineering expansions. I ended up saving these for 2 reasons. One is because the video was getting a little bit long, and I wanted to shrink it up. And 2, because this is kind of the extra bonus stuff. So nothing in the campaign is listed as being Kickstarter exclusive, but this extra ammo pack, which has 5 decks of cards, was a free gift for people that did order the maximum cards. You could buy it, I believe, as an add-on, so it should eventually hit the stores. But a bunch of cards will add some extra different effects. And then the other one, the German engineering and one of the crew members, were exclusive to the big Maximum Chrome box set, which is like a storage box with everything in it. So I don't know if those will ever be released separate. I also don't know if there might be a potential that they might release an empty version of the Maximum Chrome box for people that bought the base game or expansion, want to upgrade to a storage system, and maybe they'll come in that box as an additional thing. I don't know for sure. Alright, but for now, let's head into our different sets for cards. So we have, sometimes you need just a little more firepower. The extra ammo expansion sets of 5 mini expansions. You may include any or all of these in 5 decks in your game. Each expansion comes with its own rules card and a few blank cards to create your own effects. So, let's just take a look at these. We're going to zoom my camera back down here. So we have this first one, which is a crate, which are called bounties. Alright, so bounties are deal 1 face-down bounty card to each player at the beginning of the game. When you complete your bounty, you may immediately play the card and claim the reward. After you play a bounty, remove it from the game. Alright, so you're going to have some interesting. So you have a location, little symbol, and a crate symbol. So, Trash Collector. Enter 2 spaces with hazards in 1 turn. Remove a damage token from one of your vehicles. So, nothing super crazy. But it's what really makes these fun is because you play the base game. You get okay, we move, we have a couple hazards, we have some damage tokens. You get some of the expansions that add either new vehicles, which play different crew members, which change up so each player is not identical if they're playing the cars, or they had different hazards or different things that make the game change up how everything works. Car upgrades. This is just another way to increase the value of the game. So we have Forerunner. Start your turn with 2 of your vehicles in the lead or tied. Remove a damage token. So again, this isn't game breaking, but does give you some extra stuff. Death from above. Eliminate a vehicle with your chopper. Place your chopper in an empty space and shoot with it. Hit and run. Make a vehicle inoperable by shooting it. Set one of your unused movement dice to any number. Slow and steady. At the end of the round, with none of your vehicles ahead of any other opponent's vehicles. Move each of your vehicles up to 3 spaces. You may only enter empty spaces. Rubber is racing. A vehicle is eliminated on your turn. Shoot with one of your vehicles. The Pinball Wizard. 2 slams happen on your turn. Set one of your unused movement dice to any number. And then finally, Down and Dirty. Start your turn with none of your vehicles on road spaces. Peek at all the face-down hazards on any one road tile. So very simple, things to achieve, very simple effects, nothing that's going to, if I get this bounty, all of a sudden I'm going to win the game. Then we get 2 copies of the blank ones, which you can write in your own different stuff. So you could pick stuff, and this might be a fun one to add in, I would love if they actually added some more of these, or if they made these cards work with the expansions. or maybe more some of the specific things. Like, obviously, you don't want to have any of them necessarily be like, if the big rig does this or the motorcycles do that, because that doesn't work that way. But they have like the fire cards. Hey, if a card gets set on fire this turn, this happens. Or if you hit a jump without taking any damage, like you don't land on a hazard space or a bad thing, like then this happens. Like that'd be kind of neat, different things. You could have something even included if you're assuming you're playing with all the expansion content, like you have the upgrade cards, or the crew cards. You could have something, if you do this, gain an extra command point back, or draw a different upgrade, replace an upgrade card, exchange it to something else. There could be interesting, neat effects with that stuff too. Just some extra different ideas. But again, we have 4 more expansions, which might add things that maybe work with some of that stuff as well. Alright, so up next we have a picture of a helicopter with a gear, and this is our advanced airstrikes. So it says, deal 1 face-down advanced airstrike to each player at the beginning of the game. This the card tells you when you can play it. After you play advanced airstrike, remove it for the game. So we have one that gives you something to try and work towards, or if you happen to hit across, you gain a little boost. We have these guys who can be played once. Dual guns. When your chopper shoots and misses, reroll the shooting dice. Discerning pilot. When one of your vehicles ends your turn in the chopper space, place your chopper in empty space instead of eliminating your vehicle. Care package. Play when your chopper leaves the space. Take a hazard token from the supply and place it face down in the space your chopper left. Strafing run. Play after your chopper shoots. Place your chopper in an empty space. Low flying. Play when you place your chopper. Place it in any space with a face-up hazard token and discard that token. That's kind of cool. Extra shots. Trick shot. Play when you place your chopper can shoot in any space adjacent to it instead of in front of it. Air to missile. Air to air missile. Place when you place your chopper, you can shoot an opposing chopper. If you hit a medium target, eliminate that chopper. That's crazy. Target practice. Play when your chopper shoots a car and hits. Draw 2 damage tokens and choose which one they resolve. Discard the other one. A bag of wrenches. Play when you place your chopper. Remove a damage token from one vehicle adjacent to your chopper. Your chopper. And scouting mission. Play when you place your chopper. Peek at all the hazards adjacent to your chopper. And then we get 2 blank ones which you can do whatever you like with. Again, definitely very fun, different things. It's if the other ones are giving you objectives, these are giving your choppers a little bit more to do. Only one-time effects, what might be maybe an interesting game rule to do with some of these cards, I wonder, would be spend one of your dice during a round to draw a new card if you didn't have one. That might be an interesting idea. Like, hey, you used your bounty. Instead of spending on a command or the coast, you could spend one of your dice to draw this. But you can only do it once per round, so it takes place of like a command. That might be kind of an interesting mechanic. Alright, then we have one shot, which is our third set of cards. One shots are deal 1 face down 1 shot card to each player at the beginning of your game. Card tells you to play after you play a 1 shot, remove it. So these are kind of like the chopper cards, the advanced airstrikes, but for mechanics your character can do. We have guided missile. Play when you shoot, automatically hit the target. Camouflage coating. Play when one of your vehicles will take damage, that vehicle does not take damage. AI danger avoidance. Play when one of your vehicles will move into an impassable space. Move it to any space adjacent to its current space instead. Grape shot. Play after you shoot. Make a second shot against the same target if it's still in your firing arc. Radar array. Play at the start of your turn. Peek at 2 face-down hazard tokens. Flux capacitor. Play after you roll one of your dice at the start of the round to re-roll all of your dice. And then a blank one. So yeah, and as of right now, if you play all 3 of these, you'd have 3 cards sitting out at the extra turn. At the beginning of the game. So that could be kind of an interesting idea too. Then we have our fourth expansion, which has these like crate engine. Probably supposed to make an engine maybe, but they are bonus commands. It's to deal one bonus command to each player. This is an additional command you can use. So all the other three, the one shots and airstrikes, where using one, they go away. The bounty, you achieve this goal, you activate it, it goes away. These guys stay out, and they give you an extra thing to do, which is really a neat idea. So we have hands free. Roll the direction die. Move a number of spaces in that direction up to the assigned assigned die. Yeah, you play 5 or 6. It gives you an extra little movement ability. We have targeting AI. When you shoot a card at start and hit, search the damage token supply and choose the damage token. That's cool. Rapid reload. Next time you shoot this turn, you may make a second shooting attack against a new target. Pause attraction. Muddy spaces count as roads this turn. Oh, that's neat. Rocket fuel. If you would use the road guy, use this guy's value instead. You can only move directly forward during these moves. Oh, so that's kind of neat. So you can, instead of using the road guy, you could pick a number. So normally it's 1 through 3. You could potentially get 4, 5, and 6 out of this. Tire spikes. When you move another card in a slam this turn, that card takes damage if it moved into an empty space. Torque booster. Reroll all of your unassigned dice. So that could be very helpful. You roll like a 5, a 6, and like 3 1 or like 2 1s. I could get rid of my 2 1s. Nav system. The first time you enter a space with a face down hazard this turn, move it to an adjacent empty space instead of revealing it. And then we have 2 bonus extra cards you can use to make up your own thing. Again, these I kind of looked at these again. I think some of these would be more fun and interesting as if they would have had the full expansion in mind. I get why they didn't, because the idea is you could have bought the base game and then just got these cards, and you wouldn't have it for the expansion. But yeah, I wouldn't mind having an expansion version. So like, if each of these cards are like 6 to 10 cards, depending on which one, you have to add 3 or two cards for each set that had, it's 10 cards total for each one that maybe work with the expansion stuff. That'd be kind of cool. Alright, then our final one is we have the road sign, which are road conditions. When you place a road tile, place a random road condition face up next to it. The rules apply to that tile. At the beginning of the game, place one next. At the beginning of the game, place one next to the middle and lead tiles, but not the starting tile. So this is going to make each tile a little bit more crazy. We have road condition marauders. At the end of your turn, if a vehicle is moved in its leader or tied for lead on the road tile, the marauders shoot your vehicles. Marauders will not shoot at choppers. Sandstorm. If you can only shoot vehicles directly in front of you. Torrential downpour. If your vehicle enters a muddy space, it loses all remaining moves. Blockade. After resolve a face down hazard, take the hazard token from the supply and place it face down any empty space on this road tile. Windy. Players cannot place choppers on this road tile. That's a fun one. Icy. Whenever the direction guy moves a vehicle on this road tile, move it extra space in the same direction. Guardrails. If your vehicle would move off the side of this road tile, move it to any space adjacent to the current tile instead. Tremors. At the start of the round, roll the direction dice and sometimes move all vehicles except for choppers one space in that direction. So that one's kind of neat because that mimics the Quake ability from the expansion. Again, you have different things that do some of those as well. And then we have 2 regular generic ones. Yeah, it might even be neat to have something that's like, if you wanted to really get crazy with some of them, like if you have more specific ones or things like that, for like conditions, you could be like, during this tile, like you play on here, like no fires, puts out all fires. Yeah, it's half the time. If you're playing with all the expansion tiles, that can make some of these tiles really crazy. You can get rid of lots of the hazards, or you can do something the alternate direction is like. instead treat all of this type as a fighter tile, like, or add, like we had the mud, sits on the base game, like it specifically mentioned that, like have something that's like the ice tiles, you slide one extra or something. They can do something definitely different. Like, add some extra tiles like that. Be a really neat thing. We do have the quick mention, the Big Rig does not have a command board, therefore may not use command cards. Play your game, do what you want. That's what I always say, right? Alright, so that was the extra ammo expansion. So the last one for new types of cards is the German Engineering expansion. So this is a big, giant set of cards. So it's only going to work for your main 4 cards, your blue, green, orange, and white cards. So it won't work for the Big Rig or the motorcycles. Now that's one thing that maybe an additional expansion, which would be kind of neat. It would be something that benefits either of them, because they don't get to use these cards, they don't get to use this ability, or don't get to use that. So they kind of need to give them something additional. So yeah, how does this work? It says here, this expansion replaces crew card movement dice and shooting dice with cards that minimize randomness. Each crew uses the expansion with 18 German Engineering cards of their colors. So you're not going to have dice anymore. So each of the cards is going to have different things on there. You're going to have a move value, a German name, which I even try and pronounce any of these. I'm going to butcher all of them, I can guarantee. The shooting result, and it's going to be the same on each side. So, setup here is each player replaces their dice with their matching color. Start of the game, players shuffle their dice, they draw 5 cards. So normally you have 4 dice, you get 5 cards. Each player says their total, you probably figure out who gets to play. Assigning a movement. On your turn, you can play a card from your hand to one of your dashboards as you would assigning a movement dice. Once per round, you can assign another card to one of your command boards. In this case, treat it as if you had assigned a dice of the value of that card or command. For example, if you assign a card to the Nitro command, add that number to the move value on the card. For example, if you assign a card to the Nitro command, add that number to the move value on the card you assigned it to your car. After you resolve your car's movement or command, flip that card over to show you are done. Let's see, at the end of 3 rounds. At the end of 3 rounds, after all players have moved, so I think it means after the end of 3 turns, after all players have moved, all players should usually have 1 card remaining in their hand, because you have 5 cards, 4 dice. All the cards should be played to their dashboards and command boards are discarded. Then each player draws from their deck up to their hand size of 5. Players should never have more than 5 cards in your hand. When you're shooting, to resolve a shoot attack, reveal the top card of your deck. If the shooting die results in that card matches the target, the attack hits as normal. After resolving the attack, discard the attack, and then reshuffling. Then you reshuffle. Alright, so what do these cards look like a little bit more in depth? So, we're going to look at the gray ones here. We have... I'm not even going to attempt these names. But this is a card. They'll give you 2 speeds. So it's equivalent of a 2 on your die, and it shoots for long range. Then we have a 4 with a long range, and we have a 6 with a long range. And then now if I grab, like that was the white one, if I grab the orange one, it's going to be the same 3 cards, just in orange text, and you're going to have the same thing for greens and blues. Got all the different colors on both sides. So then the next set of cards we have is a 2, which is kind of the same name, so all the 2s have sames. Just has shots for any. We have another 4 for large, and we have a 6 for medium. And we get a 6 that goes medium or small, a 4 for medium or small, or a 2 for medium or small. So now we've had 2 of the 4s, 2 of the 6s, and three fours, 3 2s, and 3 6s. So we have 3 of each. Then we have some 5s, 5 for any, 3 for any, and a 1 for any. So now we're going to get our odd sets. 5 for large, 3 for large, or a 1 for large. And then our last set of cards will also be them, but we will have 5 for large, 3 for medium, and 1 for medium. So you're still gonna get 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for your numbers. Drawing cards. Now someone might be like, well, how do these change your outcome at all? Or make the game, I don't want to say easier, but how does it work? What's the difference realistically, right? Like, why would you use these over dice, I guess, is the question. So let's take a look here. So if I zoom out a little bit more, let's move my camera back even a little bit farther. Alright, let's take a look at what the difference in my options would be. Alright, so during my turn, I roll my 4 dice from my blue card here. I'm gonna go up a little bit there. I rolled a 2-2. I'm missing a pip on my die. I've never seen that in my life. That's crazy. So we have a 2, 2, a 5, and a 6. So I have a lot of different options there, right? So I drew my 5 cards. I have, let's even put these in numerical order here. Instead, for my dice numbers, I have a 2, a 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I just happen to randomly draw that. So I have a 5 and a 6 and a 2 that match. I also get a 3 and a 4. So that does give me some other different options. Now, with my 6 die, obviously I can use any of these for my movement speeds, but I can also use my 6 for repair. I could use a 6 there for repair as well. So those basically end up even or washing out in themselves. Now, with the 5, let's scooch this down. I can use a 3 to 5 for my drift. So that means if I'm just playing this, I can either, out of my 4 dice, to do a drift, I can only use my 5. Now, if I'm playing this, I have a 3, 4, or 5. So I can opt to drift 3, 4, or 5 spaces. Otherwise, I can only drift 5. So that's definitely an advantage there. But let's just, pop the 5s out. Kind of look at what our other options are. If I want to do nitro, I have 1 to 3. So I can't use these, so my nitro can only be 2. I only have the option of going 2 spaces with that. Here, I still, out of my cards, I have the option of 2 or 3. I could do either one of them. So if let's say I get a 2 to match that 2, that's definitely something I could do. It leaves me with, different options there. Now, I'm still left with a 3 and 4, even after all that. Now, again, that's not playing correctly because I only get to use 1 of these per thing. But the thing is, I can use any 3 of these cards to match those 3 dice. And that means I would still have a 3 or 4 to play. So I have a lot more options on what I can do during my turn. So again, if I wanted to play my repair for 6, I could and I have a 5, a 2, and a 2. Where here, I could put my repair on 6. I could still have my 5, but now instead of playing 2, I could move my other guys 2, 3, or 4. I would have 2 different options there. Same idea, if I put my 5 over on my drift, I could put my 6 there. I have my 6 and 5 used up, but I'd still have a 2, 3, and 4. Gives you some more different options of stuff to play as. Which, again, it all depends on what I draw. So let's see if I draw my next 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other thing you can do is if you can kind of count cards or stack your deck a little bit, you could kind of keep an eye on, what you have coming up as well. So like here now, I drew if this was my hand instead, I drew a 2, a 5, a 1, a 3, and a 1. So now if I compared it to these dice, I have a 2 that matches, I have a 5 that matches, but I can't play a 6. So with my hand here, I wouldn't be able to repair. Now, again, this is all random. I re-roll these dice, I could get different results as well. But I could still use the 3 and the 5 for my drift, which matches my 5 there. I could use my 1, 3, or 5 for nitro, versus having to utilize a 2 or 6. I have some different options there. My 1s would kind of be sort of wasted, although if you don't want to use, so I can even play my cards like this if I really wanted to. One guy can move 5, one can move 3, one can move 2, and then I have a 1 left over, which I could use for an airstrike or a coast. It's not really terribly wasted. The only thing is it would be stuck in my hand for the next turn as well. But, that's, again, it's also a thing. Now, if you're looking at this, it means you have 3 of each card. I've gotten 2 of my 2s now, 2 of my 3s, 2 of my 5s, 2 of my 1s. So I can kind of get an idea of what I'm going to draw in my next hand. I don't have a lot of I only have 1 4 and 1 6. So I'm going to guess in there I'm going to probably get at least a 4 and a 6 on my third hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which again, I'd actually only be drawing 4 cards because I'd have 1 in my hand unless I spent some way to use it. But now if you look at that, I got my third 1, my third 3, my third 2, my third 5, my second 4. So that means my last 2 cards here are going to be 2 6s and a 4. Yep, 2 6s and a 4. So you could kind of count your cards to get an idea of what you have coming up to plan stuff. Then the other thing, though, is the random for die shooting, which I don't think is any more or less random than the other one. I have to roll for shooting. I take my die, which has an any side, a large side, a medium side, says 2 larges, a small medium, and it says 6 different sides. Well, I have more than 6 options in here, right? I have a couple of any's, I have a couple of larges, I have a lot more options. So if I roll this die to shoot someone, I roll a large. I draw the top card, I got a large, equal the same. Roll a die, we got an any, we roll a die, I got a large. Okay, so that wasn't effective, but, medium, any. So that kind of countered that last one. And this could also go towards your deck counting as well. If I play my first 5 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, knowing that I have 2 of my 2s, 2 of my 5s, that's going to eliminate what I do. And then I shoot someone that turn. Alright, well, I got a 1 as well. Now I know I have 3 of my 1s done. So let's say I kept the 2 in my hand. And I draw my next 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got my third 5, my third 2. So I know I have no more 2s or 5s left in my deck. I've used 2 of my 1s, 2 of my 3s. Let's say I shoot someone else this turn. I drew a 6. So now I know my potential for my next hand, and let's say out of this hand I kept that 2 again. My potential is, out of my next 4 of my 6 cards, I have a high chance of getting 2 6s and 2 4s. I got 6s and 4s. Now, how does that really help you knowing what's coming up? It might not. But it does, at least it's something you can do if you can kind of, memorize, figure out them numbers. Alright, so that's the German engineering set. Again, we get a set of each of these in each of the 4 different colors. Which is kind of cool. And that was with the Maximum Chrome box sets. I don't know if that'll be released individually. Then the last exclusive we have with that was M. Burko, the Firestarter. So our last crew member, who has the ability, says, ignore the eliminated dice on the fire dice. So he gets to play around. Now, this is what I love. Because I've been talking about this video, adding extra things specifically for expansions. That's what this guy is. So he has Showtime. Set one of your cards on fire. Yeah, if you did ignore that eliminated dice, you just did a move extra spaces. But you have to make sure you always put 1 dice on there. If you're going to put a dice on a set of card on fire. Airstrike, which we've seen. Repair, which we know of. And then it's Flamethrower. So he's the only guy that has 2 special abilities. Everybody else has either Repair, Airstrike, Nitro, or Drift. They have 3 of them. They have 1 special. He gets 2 of them. He also has Flamethrower. When you shoot this turn, if you hit, you also set your cards on fire. And he has 2 special abilities down there. So that's definitely cool. That's something they could also add with other characters. It'd be neat to have someone that utilizes the jumps, or the ices, or does something with some of the other, maybe even some of the cards in the decks. Like, assuming someone bought all of these, it'd be neat if you had someone that, gets to play around with the bounty card, or like airstrike. He works with the choppers and like lets him draw a new airstrike ability. That could definitely be something interesting. All right. Pause for a sec. Come back. We're gonna look at how all the tokens and components go into the box. Alright, so the last part of this video, I'm going to show how to fit everything into the Thunder Road Vendetta Maximum Chrome Edition box. Now again, as I said earlier, or the other videos, I don't know if they're going to sell this as a separate individual empty box. At some point, because it came all shrunk wrapped and everything, and some of the card expansions, all the boards, all the tile pieces all came underneath, like all the dice, all the cards came inside. So it would be, and some of the crew token boards came inside. So it would be hard to resell it without reselling them unless they made two separate editions, which they could definitely do in the future, like reproduce them and just have them produced without any of that stuff in there, because all the vehicles and stuff came in as well. But assuming if you either have this and you're just wondering how to fill it in, here's how you do that. Or if you pick it up later, most of the stuff is pretty explanatory, which is really nice. Again, their books are great. Their rule book was good. Everything's pretty thing. So this is how it starts out. Like you open this up, all the vehicles in there. Now you'll notice we are missing some of the green ones, because I'm going to show you how they kind of go in there. But we're going to do this is go bottom to top. So we move the first tray. There was a second tray in there. The third tray. Now I don't think there's any reason why the second and third tray couldn't be mixed or swapped around. There's really no reason, because the bottom one should just stay in the bottom. But it does have a finger hole in here to pick this out, so you could potentially put that up higher if you wanted to as well. So you could rearrange all three of them. The only one you probably might not want to rearrange is the top one. Since none of these have plastic over them except that one, that's the one where stuff's probably going to fall out the most. But I still might not recommend like keeping this on its side too much. Alright, so the first one here is obvious for our tiles. So it's going to have, kind of look, it's going to be angled, so like one side has arrow sides, one side has the front, and the board spots are going to be, the box spots are going to be set up for that. But then they leave a finger hole on this side and on this side to help pull them out. So we can just take our entire stack here, kind of shimmy them in there, and voila. Now it doesn't sit 1,000% flat in there. I mean, it's in there underneath that. But one thing also let's just mention is that if they ever decide to release expansions for this, nothing else is really going to fit in this box. But just say that's our tiles, all our boards, all 10 of them from the base game and the 5 from the Carnival's run. Then we put in our next one. Now, so we have all these different symbols and stuff and different things. It's going to help us tell where everything goes. So look at our first one. We have like a circle with 2 rings around it. These are our damage tiles. Now, you could separate these out if you wanted to. So it's like, these are the ones from, I think most of this pile here, I think is from the Devil's Run expansions. You could put those in one. You could place them face up if you wanted to help remember. And then you could kind of split some of the other ones up into one pile or the other. However works best for you. So if you don't want to use all of them all the time, or you don't want to shuffle all of them together, you put like base game up here, expansion one down there, for the same reason. Then we have a triangle and a bunch of triangles down here. These are our danger tiles. So we have all the triangles. Now, I kind of didn't have mine sort of separated out at the moment, like oil sits this, but they can go in either direction. You know, put them face up, put them face down, however you want. But again, you can kind of separate them out by expansions. So like here we have like the mud, put that one in there. And that was the oil slicks and other things from there. So we have our regular dirt tiles. We can take this one, which has our jumps and our fire tiles. You can put that in the second one here. Now, this is where you end up where you have 2 spots left while you can't separate them 100%. because we have our one-time use tiles. So I just put all them together, the mines, the quakes, all that type of stuff. I'm going to drop those in one spot. And then, oh no, everything fell over. So then the last one, I'm going to put all the upgrade ones in, which have the wrench. They have a slightly different back. And I'm just going to put all those in that one, just so we know that they're separate. Now, you could opt to put these guys up here if you want. That's definitely an option. So the last ones I have are my ice sheet ice tiles. Now, I'm just going to have to stick to one of the other random ones. Now, if you kind of jiggle these around, most of them will be fine. But there's a little bit of a gap in some of these. So that little bit of a gap can be used to like maybe move one or two over. So they might not all fit. Now you have your two blank ones, so I'm just going to drop in there. Let's say you can put your upgrade ones up with your damage if you want. I decided to use the flat tiles, which are for the big rig, and I put them up there separate. But you could do either one, since they're all the same shape. Alright, so the next thing we have is this spot up here. First we have this little diamond with a star. These are our command tokens for our crew members. So we just drop all those in there. Pretty simple. Again, like the pictures on the tokens tend to match where they go. So they're, again, for most of the stuff, it's fairly easy to figure out where it goes. This part is a little bit trickier because it doesn't tell you what actually goes in there. So what goes in there is the big rig. And is that where the big rig goes? Yeah. I should put the bigger. Nope. I know the motorcycle goes in there. I think that's where the big rig goes as well. I might be wrong on the big rig. That might go in one of the other spots. I think that's where it goes. I think that's the only spot big enough for it. But then all your crew tiles. So you have all your crew characters. They slide in on top. And again, you kind of shake them around. They'll hold them in there very well. But now you can see there's no more room for extra stuff. They pretty much built this to fit this set. And then we have these three slots in the middle. So one's for tiny cards. So these will be for your upgrade, or not your ongoing danger cards. You can slide those right in there. Then you have two other ones for big cards. So you can drop, I put all the full auto or full ammo accessories in there, and I put the upgrades in the third one. Now, there is plenty of room more in here for more cards, especially in here. Now, one nice thing about this, so what I did was I wanted to see if these would fit if they're sleeved. Because a lot of people like to sleeve cards. So if I can get this out, this is the downside about these little trays. So, I took this pile here, which is about the size. I'm going to set this down for a sec. It's the same number of cards as these zombie size cards, which are sleeved in, pretty decent sleeves. So they'll fit in there just fine. So your sleeved cards will go in there. But yeah, I wish they'd had a little push thing in there to help get these out a little bit better. They do have a thing there, but I'm still having difficulty getting these out, even though they're sleeved. And I don't want to put too much on them. Alright, you're going to be a pain, aren't you? There we go. Alright, so that's sleeved miniature cards, and then for the big ones, these guys come out a lot easier. And it's just because the miniature ones are sunk in more. I grabbed a bunch of, I have higher grade sleeves. Now you can put penny card sleeves in there as well. But I took some higher grade sleeves that are unstable, or Tic Tac KO cards. And it's the same number of cards as there is in this stack. So these obviously fit in very well. Now this is a lot smaller stack, so these will fit in just fine. But you could also put some in there if you wanted to spread some of these piles out a little bit more. Have certain ones, like you could put all of the upgrades in here, and then split these between the other two piles if you wanted to. So there's some different options there for sleeving. But it's nice to know that they made room for sleeved cards. And now I can't get this one out. Alright, so that's the second stack here. So, yeah, sleeve cards, really nice. would have been the, I get why they didn't necessarily label these, or maybe even put a label here for the damaged one, just because it would have, maybe people would have gotten confused and thought there's the tiles or something. Understandable. As you can see, been putting sleeves in there, I had trouble getting them out. I still wish I had a little dip point. Now, I do have a penny sleeve, which are a little bit bigger than regular cards, but you can see those fit in there as well. So that's really nice that they accommodated that. Too many things that accommodated sleeve cards only accommodate the, like, official sleeves or, like, the really, like, more expensive ones. Some people, like, hey, me, for example, I'm trying to upgrade to those nicer sleeves for games I play more often, but, some of the games are more casual games, or games I'm not going to play too often. I still like the sleeve, but I have, thousands of cards. I can't be buying, $20 packs of sleeves all the time. Alright. So our next one is, we can obviously tell what goes in that spot. The Burning Rings of Fire. We also have this end piece to just show that. That's your finish line goes. Your Burning Rings of Fire go in the little fire spots. You should be able to get half of the stack in one and half of the stack in the other. Very easy there. So, then we have 5 more spots on here. So these first 4 are for your cars and your car upgrades. Now, what I did, but it's not necessary, is I tried to match them up with these. So I have blue, orange, green, and white. Just take your 3 car size. Now, it doesn't matter which way they do. They have a little notch on either side. So if they have, like the ones that have the arrows go either direction, it doesn't matter. And then these guys set in that direction. Fairly simple. Then we just slot all of them in there. Now, I'm not really sure what these middle pieces are for. If that was just maybe how they do the molds or whatever, because they don't seem to serve any actual purpose. But we drop all those in. These are our 4 colors. And then we have that spot for our motorbikes. Now, we already did our control panel for the motorbikes. And then this is just those tiles. Now, I don't know why they didn't make this sunken a tad bit farther. I get there's 5 tiles versus 4 in this one. So, maybe that's just why they didn't have room. But it kind of sucks that this is in a separate location. But then there's now a little notch right here. You kind of see, so like sunken in a little bit lower than these. And that's because you put the big rig on there. So, it would have been, I think, better to have these 2 the same height as this, and then have the motorcycle here, have this somewhere else, just because then all them pieces would have been together. But it's, they're probably what they had to design with. Alright, then we have the last piece, which we can take this plastic piece off to fill in them. So we have all of our different cars, vehicles. Down here we have our wrecks. Whoops, the wrecks here. They just slide in like that. Each vehicle has its own spots. You can see the big one, medium, and small, a little bit different sizes. So obviously the bigger size won't fit in there. Now, the large one will fit in there if you drop it in that, but it sits at an angle. So they do have these kind of set so that they will sit down nice and perfect. So if it's not fitting in right, just, flip it around the other direction. And they also go one way. Like the car, little baby car probably fits either direction because it only has a thing in the middle. But the other 2 have a dip on the top for the bumper. So if I put it in the other direction, it actually, it will sit in there. I guess it has a bumper on that side too. So they probably will sit either way, but I think it's going to sit better if you have them facing that direction. Then this big giant gap is for your helicopter. Just make sure your blade is turned properly when you drop it in there. So that brings us to how the board was set up when we first started. Each spot has a little hole there. That's for your dice. Very easy. So you keep all your different colors together. There's our big rig down there. We have a spot for its 4 dice. A bigger spot up there for our 6 yellow dice. And then we have this open hole which is for all of our special FX guys. Shooting, direction, slamming, road, and jump. And then the last one's for the fire. So if you're buying this in pieces, you're obviously going to have different holes. Like if this was an empty box, you wouldn't have all these things. But that's just going to happen. Alright, so then the last two, they are showing the damage icon, but they're little X's. That's for your minor damage. You should be able to get half a stack of each in each one of them, so they fit in nice. And then the last thing are the little E's, which are for your performance enhancing, your German enhancing cards, which will go in there. Now, I did the same thing I did with the other ones. I split these up into 2 colors each, so blue and orange, green and white, which is, I didn't do it on purpose, but they just happened to kind of match the colors on there. But I took a stack of zombie side cards, and of the exact same amount, and drop them in there. So now here's the only issue I ran into here, is these, I kind of have to push these down for them to stay in there. But when you get done, you're going to put this sheet on top anyhow. So that'll kind of hold them in there. But no, they're not, they're just they could have been a little bit deeper to make sure they all fit in there. Because if you have 2 stacks, they're going to be the same height. But unfortunately, that's what it is. But luckily, you have that cover to kind of help hold it down. Alright, so we drop those in there. Swap the plastic piece back on. We grab our good old rule book, throw it on top, kind of hold it in there a bit, and then we can throw our cover back on. And there we go. Definitely a really great box. Loves it. It holds everything nice and neat. The little pictures you help it. The only couple of gripes with it were for some of them bigger cards, like or even the smaller ones, having a little way to get them out easier. Because sometimes you get that bottom card in there, and you can see sometimes I was fighting with it. Even if it's sleeved, if I have to bend it half the way, or I have to keep trying to dig my fingernail into it, you might ding the top of it or warp it a bit. So that's kind of a minor issue there, which again maybe could have just been alleviated by having a little, even like a half circle dip where your finger goes in, so your finger can get under that bottom card. That could have solved that problem. I'm not an engineer. I don't design this stuff. I'm just saying what I've seen in other games. The other little thing was where the big rig and the motorcycle extra cards go. There's really no indication that's where they go, so you kind of had to guess on those. Everything else sort of has its symbol. You can see where it is. You can kind of see the shape, figure it out. Then those two are kind of by itself. Even the big rig itself, the big long one, you can kind of see. Oh, okay, I can see where it's indented there. The other ones you look, but that's a very minor point. The other thing I would have, I guess, personally enjoyed, like having all the vehicles on one tile is great. Having the dice, having the engineering cards is fine as well, because those are basically replacing your dice. I wish that all of the other tiles, or like tokens and stuff, were all on the same thing. Now most of them are. Most of the road ones are on one board with the damage and all that, but then you have some of the minor ones on a different spot, and the fire ones on a different spot. It would be nice to be able to, if I'm playing the game, okay, open up, take out my cars or my motorcycles, whatever I want to play with. I go to the bottom set, I can take out my whatever boards I want to have, ready, or take out all of them, have them set aside, ready to go. And I could just pull a tray and be like, these are all my tokens. Put everything else back in the box. I don't need it. Like draw your specialty cards, your upgrades, all that stuff. Draw all your things, then put everything back in the box and just have the tokens sitting out in one tray. I don't want to keep going back or have to pull them out and have stacks of them. But again, little minor things. It's not that big of a deal. Even if you have to have 2 trays sitting out, whatever. Stack 2 up, leave one in the box, stack the other one off to the side. No biggie hurry there. All right, so that's Vendetta. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You have questions, let me know. Check out my other videos. See you guys later. Bye.